So in the last video, we set up a digital read. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use an if statement, which will help us make use of this digital read. So I'm going to start by wiring up this button and this switch, and the aim of what we're doing today is to turn the LED on when we press the switch using an if statement in the code. So if I wire this up, so I've wired the button up to ground on this side, 5 volts on this side, and the digital read wire is hooked up in the middle to pin 7 of the Arduino. Now, I explained how these buttons worked in the last episode of tutorials, but I'll go over it again. So basically, the digital read wire and the ground wire are connected via this PCB through this resistor, which is between 1 and 10K. So when we press the button, it bridges the gap between the digital wire and the 5-volt line. Because there's no resistor between those two, the digital wire is pulled high. The LED is wired to ground on one side, and the LED circuit is just a green LED and a 220 ohm resistor. And then on the other side of the circuit, it's wired to one of our digital pins on the Arduino. In this case, it's wired to pin 8. So if we digital write to pin 8, if we digital write low, the LED will turn off. If we digital write high, it will turn on. So now we can start writing some code. So now we've wired all that up, we can start coding our little circuit. So the aim is to be able to turn the LED on when we press the button. So first off, we're going to set the button and the LED up right at the top here by giving them English names. So we can call our English name instead of calling the pin number. So we're going to write int, and then you can call it whatever you want, but I'm going to call it button equals, and then I've wired my button to pin 7. So I'm going to write 7 and then semicolon. Then we're going to set up the LED, so we're going to write int LED equals, I've wired my LED to pin 8, so I'm going to write 8. So now we come down to the void setup, and we write pin mode with a capital M to set up the inputs and outputs, and we're going to write button, and button is an input because we're going to read a signal from it, so we write input in all capitals, semicolon, and then we're going to write pin mode again, and this time we're going to set up the LED as an output because we write a signal to an LED, we don't read one, so it's an output. So I've explained this more in previous tutorials, so if you don't understand what I'm doing here, then go back and take a look at the previous ones. So now we've finished all our setup code, we can move on to the void loop, and we can start with our if statement. So we start an if statement by just writing if in the code, and then we open and close some brackets, and then we open and close some squiggly brackets. So this here is our if statement. Now, between these brackets here, we have to make a statement, which if the statement we make is true, then we're going to run the code between this squiggly bracket and this squiggly bracket. If the statement we make here is false, then we're going to ignore the code that's between this squiggly bracket and this squiggly bracket. So in this example, what we're trying to do is check if a button's been pressed or not. If the button's been pressed, we're going to turn an LED on. So what we do is, in here, we'd write a statement which says, if the button has been pressed, then, in this part here, you'd write, turn the LED on. And then underneath, you'd write, otherwise, turn the LED off. So first off, let's start by writing our true or false statement up here that is in relation to the button. So first off, we have to check the status of the button. So we have to say digital read, and then we have to tell it what we're checking. So you brackets, write button, and then we close the brackets. So we're digital reading the button, and as I said at the end of the tutorial on digital reads that I did 2 tutorials ago, I think now, this returns either a high or a low. So at the moment, that on its own isn't, there's no comparison there, so you can't check whether it's true or false. So we have to give it something to compare against. So we know this is either going to return a high or a low. So let's say if the digital read of the button is equal, which means equal to, so there's two equals there, and then we write either high or we write low. In this instance, I want this if statement to be triggered when we are pressing the button, which means I want it to be triggered when it goes high. So what we're saying here is, if we read the button and the button's value is equal to high, then do whatever is in between these brackets. So in this instance, we want the LED to turn on. So we write in here, digital write, and then we open the brackets, tell it which pin we're talking about, which in this case you could either write 8, or because right at the top we've set up LED equals 8, we can write LED. Then comma, and then either high or low. In this instance we want to turn the LED on, so we write high. Close the brackets, semicolon. So that's the if statement finished. The only problem with this is, the LED will start off being turned off. We'll press the button once, it will turn the LED on, and then the LED will never turn off again because we've not got a digital write low anywhere in this void loop. So what we can do is write an else statement, which is in some way it's connected to if statements. So it basically means, else just means if what we're saying here isn't true, then do this instead. So we write else, and then we open our squiggly brackets, and then we close our squiggly brackets here, and then in between we write digital write LED low. So basically that means if we're not pressing the button, then we're just going to turn the LED off. So now we're going to upload that and see how it looks on our Arduino. When we press the button, it's going to pull our digital read pin high, which will make our if statement true. That means that we can then digital write to our LED high. So when we press the button, the LED will turn on. The else statement means that when we're not pressing the button, the LED turns off.